Boards that are up here, 23 looks like a low number, and that's because it's only the number of mainboards that FlashROM needs to know about. There's also many hundred mainboards which just work, and FlashROM doesn't need special support for them, so FlashROM runs just fine on those as well. Push-pin flash is a fantastic idea that I wish I had come up with. If you have a couple of flash chips and you're moving them around, then it's really nice to take this corkboard pin, heat up the metal a bit, pull the pin out, and glue the plastic knob onto the flash chip. So you get a nice handle for the chip, and you can also color code them so you can remember which is the original BIOS that I should never ever write over, and which are the development chips that I can use. No? This should work. Just a second. Where are we? Oh. Device or resource missing. There we go. So now there should be sound. An Alex 1C CPU board, that's an AMD G8LX CPU. It's a PC system with an AMD CPU, 256 megabytes of RAM. Made by a Swiss company. Pretty nice hardware. Let's see. We have a serial console. So looking at the output here, we have a serial console. And I release reset now. We see coreboot starting up, and it finds the Linux kernel. The Linux kernel is starting now, and we're up. So that's the full boot process, and it's pretty snappy on this mainboard. Yes, it worked. It's always dangerous to do demonstrations on real hardware. Really quickly, some risks that we're facing without open source x86 firmware. We have RAM readout issues. If someone can come in and take control over the machine right after we've done a reset, then they have the possibility to read all of the RAM contents which was in the machine before the reset, and maybe find cryptography keys or other things that we would prefer no one else has access to. It's easy to do TPM emulation or TPM sharing, so you want to play some music on the fruit box over in the corner. You can do that by using the same virtualization tricks that the USB BIOS uses for keyboards. System management rootkits have been popping up at security conferences lately, and it's of course possible to do virtualize anything that is using I/O. Remote hard drives, have some fun with fans and make the fans spin at various speeds to create sound. You can play audio that way. User lockout, force someone to play tint if you use coreboot for an attack. And the last, I think, popular thing is to do code injection or modification of the operating system from the firmware. So the firmware runs and changes little bits and pieces inside the operating system, so that when the operating system starts up, there's a backdoor, and whoever created the BIOS or controls the BIOS can really control the machine, even though the operating system is running and only I know the root password. What can we do to defend ourselves using open 86 firmware? We can make sure to clear all memory when we're shutting down. We can detect whenever someone opens the case and do the same there. We can filter ACPI, the ACPI bytecode, implement ACLs depending on what kind of attachments or devices, peripherals are attached. Virtualization, do encryption on the fly. We can make sure the flash chip is locked down so no one can read or write to it. And in conclusion, there are some good things about coreboot, I think. Really short startup time, as you had a chance to see. It's open source, that's important. GPL for coreboot itself, but it's important to us that the payloads are separate so that they can use a separate license. So coreboot uses GPL and the lib payload is BSD licensed. Auditability, so you can really check what's going on inside your firmware, written in C instead of assembly language. There's one source tree for all the roughly 200 mainboards that we are supporting right now, meaning we have a lot more reusability, chances for reusability, and it's much easier to extend the source code than if you're using an assembly firmware. Challenges, we still need to do more testing to keep the quality increasing instead of decreasing, which might happen at times. We do compile testing of every mainboard at every commit, but we can do even better. We'd like to do even better. We need to polish all the boards in there to a full 100%, but most of the boards aren't really far away, so it's many times mostly a matter of someone stepping up and having the board and wanting to straighten the wrinkles that are still in there. We still have to do some work on a clever ACPI implementation or a clever ACPI infrastructure, I think. Rudolf Marek and Stefan Reinau have already done some great work. And that's kind of where I'm going to look in the future also a bit. So there's a lot of fun stuff going on. Please come see us. I'm here. I'm in the hardware hacking BSD village. And I have to say thanks to Wim van de Putte and Fabienne Serrea of the hardware hacking village and BSD village for setting up a really great environment. Please come, talk to us, check it out. And also thanks to Tim Gemmel for booking me into this slot that opened up in the program. So we have a website, coreboot.org, mailing list. Please join and come talk to us. We're also on IRC, on Freenode, #coreboot. I'm Care Bear. The coreboot.org website is a wiki, so you can add almost anything afterwards, after the domain name that you want, or you can use the search. So that's all I have. Do you have any questions? I know we're running out of time a bit, but maybe there's time for just a few short questions if there are any. There's a question. Yeah.
Does the system management mode also stop real-time timers?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Does the system management mode also stop any real-time clocks on the system?
I still can't hear you.
Does the system management mode stop real-time timers in the operating?
So the question is, does system management mode stop real-time timers in the operating system? And the answer is yes. System management mode stops everything in the system. So system management mode can definitely have an impact on your system if you are running something that is sensitive to real-time performance. All right, no more questions. So thank you very much for listening to me. And feel free to... feel free to find me later or in the BSD village if you want to talk more.
Thank you.
No problem.